It's Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. Today's report is going to be just minimally about the Sabian symbols and the energetics for today because what I really want to do is talk more about some grander subjects and maybe even lighten up the energy of the day because Mars just squared Pluto a couple of hours ago this morning, and that's heavy. So it's all the hardest part of that aspect has already peaked, and so we're on the wane of that. However, the energetics are quite heavy with it. So I'd just like to lighten it up a little bit. The moon is in Aquarius and it will be until 6:08 p.m. Eastern time tonight when it moves into Pisces. And so that means until that time, 6:08 p.m. tonight Eastern time, the moon is void of course. And generally speaking, that means things that we try to initiate or begin don't really go that well, or it's just kind of a little bit harder. When the moon is void of course, it's really better to take care of business that's already ongoing, or complete things or tie up things and just kind of ride that out. The Sabian symbols today are they're just not very exciting, except for Venus at 5 Sagittarius, an old owl up in a tree. So that advice for today is to be the wise owl in the tree, the skill that we are just basically working every day now, witnessing, and in this case, keeping quiet and just watching what people are doing because people are going to act the fool today. Speaking of, what is in the Popeyes chicken sandwiches? What are they putting in that? A man in Maryland killed another man over one of those. I've never been in a Popeyes. I've never had a Popeyes chicken sandwich. I don't know. I guess they're new or something, but this is way beyond the MSG level, and um, I think it's getting just a little bit creepy, obviously, with someone dying over that. All right, today there's a lot of communications going on rapidly, and the sun is at 14 Scorpio, which is telephone linemen at work installing new connections. So this is about repairing communications and making new connections and seeking out an expert if you need advice on something or guidance, and making a change to fix things, moving along with things that are changing because they are fixing things, which is Uranus, which is what I'm going to get into in a minute. Interestingly, we do want to watch the sun or whatever is going on in the sky up there as the sun. There is an imprint in November 5th's energetic that came in 2013. We had an X3 solar flare that day with a solar magnetic crochet. And whenever this Sabian symbol is activated during a Mercury retrograde, it makes a Mercury retrograde type issues much more intensive. So you may have a failure of communications that requires repair. Something might malfunction on you or break, and then it might get better. It might tomorrow, it just might magically fix itself. That happens a lot. But remember, Mercury is about how we communicate, how we think. So your thinking might be a little bit fuzzy, or it might feel like your brain is a little bit fried from this because there's a lot of work being done on your lines, your telephone lines in your brain for all of us. Mercury itself is at 26 Scorpio, which is Indians making camp in new territory, which is moving into new places and directions and arenas, paradigms, and having to make adjustments to that because there's always an acclimation point when we have a change, especially when it's a moving into new territory of the mind or body. And we can be, we tend to be as humans a little uneasy and a little bit on guard when we are in new territory. Let's see. Mars is at a child giving birds a drink at a fountain. That's 22 Libra. And that energy is about nourishing others and helping people get what they need, or if you have an idea of what someone might need, or if you have something to offer it, something that would uplift other people. All right, let's go on to the subjects I really want to talk about, which are Uranus. and Uranus at the Chiron point, and the Mars square Pluto activating the Saturn Pluto conjunction that is in play. It's in process, and it peaks with the exact conjunction in January. Okay, so first with Uranus. So I know you all may be tired of hearing me wax poetic about Uranus, but I think it's important because we can forget when things are happening to us and changes are happening to us. We tend to forget the things that would help us the most because we get kind of into a series of trauma reactions because it's triggering issues from the past, or we are analyzing things based on our past experience, and all of that is really unnecessary to some degree with Uranus. So there is a guarantee with Uranus. Uranus brings us a guarantee, and that is the guarantee of it's going to put us who, what, where, how we need to be. Uranus is like the fixer. He comes in and assesses what is off track, what is out of alignment in our lives, and rearranges things in order to boot us onto a clear trajectory of alignment with our highest and best, and the highest and best of all. Now, how hard that is depends on how locked in we are to our ways, and how open we are to Uranus putting us where we need to be, how open we are to getting where we need to be. Sometimes Uranus has to do a serious ninja move to rectify things because things have become so mired in routine or fear. And by the way, Uranus rules anxiety, and anxiety is a fear always. Anything that produces anxiety, there's an underlying fear there. So if you're experiencing a lot of anxiety, analyze what the root cause is and what your root fear is, and understand that you have an ally. We have a friend. Uranus is our friend. It's really just one of the best energies in astrology, but it can just be really hard, and it also can do things so suddenly and shockingly, and causes accidents or things that we see as negative or unfortunate at the time they happen, but later we realize that if they hadn't happened, other things wouldn't have. So the best thing to do with this, especially if you're in transition, you're in flux, you're having a lot of changes, or you're in paralysis, if you're stuck and just trying to move, try to make friends with Uranus and open up to the changes and ride with them and see where they take you. They will take you through the fear. Uranus does it for us. It does what we haven't been able to do for ourselves. Whereas Uranus wants to remove limitations, the nuanced difference with the energetic of Eris. Eris wants to remove chains, things that have bound us, and they're things that are binding, things that we are slaves or burdened by. Uranus wants to remove limitations and obstacles. So remember that Uranus is trying to put things right and allow the changes. Now Uranus is at a special place in the sky. It's transiting conjunct close to the Chiron point, which is the energetic of wounding, healing, and teaching. And so Uranus at that place wants to heal it up. Basically, you could think of Uranus as inducing electrical current, or acupuncture, acupuncture in the world around us, putting, tiny little needles into different things in order to do something to allow the energy to flow more readily and us to get on track. All right, so Uranus rules electricity, Chiron rules the systems of the body, especially the electrical systems. So Uranus at the Chiron point wants to heal things. It activates the healer part. and it wants to make us whole. It wants to make us happy. Okay, Chiron, that energetic is the energetic of the master. And the master sits in a place of serenity where life can be experienced and not struggled against. Does that make sense? Okay, so the guarantee of Uranus. Okay, remember, so this is you, this is all of us. It's not just the Chiron point people or people that have 4 degrees of Taurus in their chart, which would make you a Chiron person. But if you're activated with, if Uranus is activating in your chart right now, for it doesn't matter. It's all of us. It's putting things and rectifying things and putting them the way they need to be. All right, let's move on to the Mars square Pluto that I mentioned happened earlier this morning. This is an activation of the larger cycle, the larger transit that we are in, that is in process, and that is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January, which is it's an it makes the ages, the epochs, 33 to 30 year, 38-year epochs, and big things happen during that time. The Illuminati make big moves with their agenda timed to a lot of things, but certainly to a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So it's because those planets move rather slowly, and especially because Pluto moves rather slowly, so to speak, that transit takes a long time. It takes us a long time to build up to the exact conjunction, the exact aspect, and it takes a long time for that exact aspect to play out and then for it to wane. So we know that energy always moves in a wave. So it builds, it peaks, and then it wanes. We are in the building part of that. We're in November now. I started talking about this, I don't know, I think last spring, and it's imminent. All right. The themes with this, historically, the precedent with this is the Fed's establishment, World War II, the Iron Curtain beginning to come down, the American Revolution. Those are the ones I can think of. Oh, and the space race and the whole ET phenomenon or mystery or problem or issue, whatever that is. Those are the themes that were activated at the times Saturn made conjunction with Pluto. Now, Saturn's making conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn, which is Saturn's home sign. And Saturn, an astrologer once noted, Saturn is such a drag and it is, because it pulls things down. It just utterly weighs us down. It produces a weight, a heaviness on our skeletons, on our bones. Saturn rules the bones. And Pluto is the underworld, and so it's like a complete drag down for Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. They're really kind of in conflict because well, Mars and Pluto, that part of the aspect that's happening. Remember, we have the larger cycle of Saturn-Pluto conjunction coming in January, and right now we're in the building phase of that with Mars making aspect to Pluto. It's making the square to Pluto yesterday and today. So so it's kind of all like a jumble or a brew or a stew or something like that, a mixture, all chemical mixture. Mars wants to move and Pluto wants to transform. So, and that can be kind of a conflict because that's like a moving transformation, right? That's hard to do. It's interesting and it's skillful, right? To be able to make a turn yourself into something else basically while you're on the move. All right, that's the mission of a spiritual warrior. But we understand the dynamics of it, and so then we can negotiate that, navigate that, and work with it. So because Pluto and Saturn closely behind are aspecting by square the Eris point, all the Eris point people are activated. So if you have that degree 21 Aries in your chart or activated by a hard aspect in another sign, and Eris point, I've spoken with so many of you doing readings. So many Oracle Report readers have the Eris point in their charts. So anytime I say Eris point, if I mention it in an Oracle Report, I'm talking about something is activating it, and that means you. So that means that your inner spiritual warrior is being activated. And if it's on lockdown because it doesn't know what to do, that and I was talking to Anna about this last night. It's almost like you're static, you're suspended. You're in suspended animation. Remember in Star Trek, the old one, like when they would do the transporter, they'd get in the transporter beam and then it would like dematerialize. That's kind of what happens with Mars square Pluto. It's kind of like we're kind of in that transporter beam, and it's everything is rearranging before it comes out, before we rematerialize. It's really very much like that. So if you feel like you're in, um, not knowing what to do, just stay just stay open and watching. Wise Owl inside the tree. Watch what happens today. You don't have to take action today necessarily. It's a day to watch what's happening and see how the field is playing out. Because the Saturn Pluto, the big transit that we're in, it's happening now, and that we're building toward is a refresh. It's going to change things. It's a major part of this end of the Kali Yuga. It's a conjunction, which means it's equivalent to a new moon phase, a new beginning. And so we are basically in a balsamic phase. Not basically, we are in the balsamic phase of Saturn and Pluto. All right, so what are balsamic moon phases? That's the time of power down, isn't it? And let old energy move out while new energy is coming in. It doesn't mean we stop doing things or progressing, but we understand that there's a larger structural transformation happening. And so you can't plan but so much or so far out when an actual structural transformation is happening. It's almost like the foundation really has to be laid in order for the rest of the building to come together, but we can clear a little bit of area around what we're building or whatever. Do you see the analogy there? Okay, so remember, Uranus is trying to remove limitations, and Pluto at the Eris point is trying to remove chains. So I hope that lightens the energy or provides a different perspective at least, and gives you something to think about and apply to what's happening in your world. I do not know if I will be reporting tomorrow, but I will definitely be back on Thursday. Also, we're keeping an eye on the big news. Remember, I had mentioned yesterday with that when the degree of Mercury yesterday, that with some big news could drop yesterday, and it looks like that might be the Project Veritas information that was announced yesterday that James O'Keefe is going to drop today about Jeffrey Epstein. So, right on time. I don't know why James O'Keefe just doesn't follow the rule of when you've got it, drop it. Don't hold on to it and announce it, because that just gives the other side the opportunity to meddle with it. So, word to the wise. Not that anyone is listening with that, because if they were, we'd have a little bit different world if people were understanding the Sabian symbols and the energetics. Yes. All right. Another thing, Mars Pluto can bring on bad moods and a little bit of ugliness, so especially in communications. So we are just going to let that stuff ride on past us. All right, everyone, have a great day.